there I am, writing up Year of the Scumbag, collating all of the scumbags, watching the Doomsday clock go to 90 seconds away from Doomsday because Russia or something. Like, all right, mate, like, fucking hell. At this point, I just welcome it. Can we hurry the fuck up with this Doomsday and just get to the end? I'm sick of it. 90 seconds to Doomsday. Fucking not quick enough. But anyway, someone messaged me and went, Richard, they've done it again. Now, that could mean anything in esports. That could mean EG have lost a game. That could mean Thorin's tweeted something outrageous. You just don't know what the fuck that means. That phrase is so obvious, like it's esports. No one ever changes. Nothing changes. We need a fucking Ron Perlman voiceover for the history of esports. They then elaborated and said Riot Games have lost a bunch of data. They've had a cyber attack. It includes the original source code for League of Legends. And I was like, for fuck's sake. How does this keep happening? So this is the story. This is reported on Axios. Riot Games, the developer of well-known video game League of Legends and Valorant, said Tuesday hackers had recently stole the source code for some of its most popular games in a recent data breach. Details have been sparse, but in an update on Tuesday, the company confirmed malicious hackers behind the attack were able to exfiltrate source code from League of Legends Teamfight Tactics and a legacy anti-cheat platform, which they didn't name. Riot also said the hackers, who haven't as of yet been identified, had demanded a ransom, but we won't pay. Which is good. They've learned something there. The company is working with law enforcement to investigate the incident. Most major organizations facing headline-grabbing security incidents are likely to refuse to pay a ransom to avoid further emboldening their attackers, said the LA Unified School District is a recent example of this. What does this mean in the big picture? Well, Riot is the latest gaming company to have hackers steal and eventually leak its proprietary information. In October, this obviously happened to the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6. You remember that one? That was a big brouhaha. They sent out, because Rockstar don't fuck around. They sent their agents out to go get the individual. And hackers have been able to steal key source code from major companies, including Microsoft and Samsung, in the last year as well. While Riot is still investigating the full extent of the breach, the company said the stolen source code includes a number of experimental features that may never be released. Riot noted that any exposure of source code can increase the likelihood of new cheats emerging, and its teams have been preparing to deploy fixes as quickly as possible if needed. Now, obviously, this is a thing. Like, I'm not a nerd. I am a nerd, but I'm not I'm a dumb nerd, right? So, most nerds are smart. Like, my head mod, Jace, Janny, if she was here, they're the smart nerds. She does pixel art. Jace understands coding. They understand all this stuff. Not me. But the bottom line is, why it's really bad if your source code gets leaked is obviously you can pore over every line of code, and if you've got it all present in front of you, you know how to sort of then go about creating an exploit for that code. One of the worst things that can happen to a game is if the source code gets out and then hackers, cheat coders, I should say, should make that distinction. If they gain access to it, they can obviously program a bunch of cheats that will, work with the game in certain ways. Now, what's crazy is with this, obviously, Riot Games have been pretty good, I would say, in terms of dealing with cheats in League of Legends in particular. They have taken to court many scripters, script creators, and cheat coders. They've done a good job of, encouraging cheat coders to come and work via their bug reporting program so they can make it more robust and make the game more robust in exchange for financial rewards. They've done a pretty good job all around, Riot Games, when it comes to that kind of thing. I've never really, it's not like the old days of fucking Dota, when it was a mod and map hacks were just fucking everywhere and it was, a nightmare. It was a completely different experience these days. So at the end of the day, I don't know enough about how League of Legends operates to know whether its source code being leaked really jeopardizes it. I'd wager it's relatively bad, and probably them saying we're on standby is downplaying it. There's also probably going to be a number of other types of exploit that can happen. Like, I imagine, for example, there'll be ways to crash a game. That, to me, will be one of the things that'll probably come out of this, you know, if people get a hold of it, because that just seems to be, you can see, I don't know, I'm not even using the right terminology, but, you know, like, you can see points where you can, like, inject and fuck with people's shit, and you can create ways to basically crash a server. So if you're losing a game, you can just shut the game down, essentially, by crashing it, and everyone goes back to champ select. There's been a number of stuff like that down the years, if memory serves me correct, but I ain't played League of Legends for years, because League of Legends sucks balls, and it's only got progressively worse. So hopefully that summarizes it for normies. I'm a normie myself, but I have the pleasure on rare occasions to talk to incredibly smart people on the rich chord. On it goes, this write-up. Thought Bubble from Axios Gaming's Stephen Tortillo. You remember him, former Kotaku editor-in-chief. Video game companies are popular targets for hackers. Riot, it seems more than others, as we're about to get to, often resulting in salacious leaks of unreleased content and at times breaches of personal info. Companies may not be able to contain all their secrets, but players would be best served to use two-factor authorization and other heightened security. Riot estimated it will have things repaired later in the week, allowing the company to remain on a regular patch cadence going forward. Riot also said it plans to release a full report detailing how the attackers broke in, who was behind the attack, and where Riot's security controls failed. Now, by the way, that commitment, they're making it sound like we're doing that to be fucking, you know, Tommy transparent. Nah, you have to do that. Right? Like, that's the thing. And again, we'll get to it in a second. They've covered it up in the past, and it's been terrible. Yeah, I think, again, what most likely is to come of that, there'll be some sort of crash cheat circulating that'll have to be hot fixed. There'll be some screenshots on 4chan of, like, some leaked material. Oh, this was a hero concept for League of Legends, or, wow, they were actually going to put voice chat in the game, or something like that. And then that'll be it. It'll be much of a muchness. But it's interesting that this keeps happening to Riot. Now, I know Riot are going to be a target. Okay, but they have done terrible in this area historically, and they've tried to cover it up in the past. One of the best pieces of journalism I ever did in my life, like, no joke. Like, I'm washed up now. I'm a bum. You know, I've got, like, the odd good article in me, like, it comes out of me in bits and fits and waves, but writing these days about something you despise is very hard. But there was a period of time, probably between 2013 and 2016, just before I went and joined E-League. I had the fire in my nuts, and I was untouchable. I was the greatest journalist to exist. I'll even say not just in esports. The type of stories I was writing were some of the greatest in gaming, full stop. And I'm about to remind you of one, which loads of people forget that I wrote this story. But it's relevant because it's about another data breach that Riot Games handled terribly. And so here it is. July 2014. This one is called The Hacker That Went to War with Riot Games. In August 2012, League of Legends was the most popular PC game in the world. I don't know why it just says that, and then not that in the tagline. But anyway, it goes on. More than 12 million players across Europe and North America played the game daily. And after nearly 3 years on the market, into its US-based developer, Riot Games was looking to expand into Asia. As the game continued to grow, so did the value of a user account. Players would spend hours unlocking new characters and in-game enhancements called runes. You see, I even used to write it up for the normies. They'd also spend real money customizing accounts with things like cosmetic enhancements for their favorite champions. This gave a League of Legends account real value, which in turn spawned a rapidly growing sideline in hacking and selling. And so what ended up happening was a hacker called Shane Duffy, who was from Australia. He hacked in. He got access to a password, like gave him like access to Riot servers, and the password was something like, you know, it was something like password 123, and it was like an executive that hadn't even updated the default password you get when you get an account. And basically, when he got in, he always theorized they would figure out what I've done, so he left a backdoor. Right? He left a backdoor on the servers. And so the breach happened in 2012. And Riot kept it secret and then disclosed at the end of 2012, yeah, we've had a breach, but don't worry, it's all been dealt with. But they didn't know about the backdoor. Right? So anyway, this guy, Shane Duffy, had a motherfucking field day with what he was able to get. And it came to light in the maddest way because he was able to gain access to our friend Phantom Lord's account while he was streaming. And this is when Phantom Lord was the most popular streamer. He was able to just get into his account in the middle of the fucking game, right? In the middle of his stream. just kicked him out, right? So I'll just read you what happened, right? By August 2013, League of Legends had continued its extraordinary growth. It had taken the Asian market by storm, becoming the most popular played game in South Korea, long considered the mecca of esports, thanks to the mainstream popularity of pro gaming there. Riot was preparing to host a world championship in October that would pay out $1 million to the winners, and held in a sold-out Staples Center, home of the Los Angeles Lakers. It was against this backdrop that the hacker, known at the time only by the alias Jason, used the information from the security breaches to fire the first of many salvos against Riot. He revealed himself to the public on August the 12th in the middle of a streaming session on Twitch. Popular League of Legends streamer James Phantom Lord Varga was suddenly kicked out of his account, unable to log back in. Someone then transferred all of his League of Legends account information to servers based in Brazil, which means Varga will both suffer a lot of lag and be forced to play with Brazilian players. Which, look, that sentence sounds bad, but what I mean there is, the language barrier would have been a factor. You know, that's what I mean. You know, because this isn't editorial. This is reportage, you know. Varga, an experienced streamer, was at a loss to explain how it had happened. He'd always been very careful with his personal information. News of the strange hack quickly spread to Reddit's popular League of Legends forum. That's back when I wasn't banned from it. It turned out Varga had good reason to be surprised. He hadn't inadvertently handed his information over to anyone. Instead, it had been in the original batch of account info that was stolen in 2012. And he wasn't alone. Jason was just getting started. Over the next few days, other high-profile players saw their accounts transferred to Brazil. Then an account named Devil, which hadn't been active in more than 4 years, began posting to a popular chat room in the game and threatening to reveal personal details from other users' accounts on forums. Each of the brief missives was signed Jason. Jason also somehow obtained admin rights on those forums, which he used to edit user posts and sow confusion. Hundreds of people started to post about compromised accounts. One thread from a user called GOP Gangster detailed how it happened. On August 20th, Jason contacted him and threatened to take over his account. I didn't believe him until my account was taken, GOP Gangster wrote. He knew he was screwed, he said, when his friend asked him why he left his ranked team. His account then wrote, I am God, Jason, and transferred him to Riot's Oceania server. The password to the account was long and included lots of random things that would be very difficult to grab, GOP Gangster recalled. Worst of all, my account had my credit card info saved. And so, here's the next part that's wild. Unencrypted passwords. Just out there. That's what it revealed. This is why Riot Games didn't want anybody to fucking know about it. Because if you hack someone's shit, like, even if you hack an account now, there's going to hash and salt on the password. You're not going to be able to get the password. You're going to be able to get other stuff. You might be able to use details to maybe brute force some other things. Generally, there's a level of security that's going to stop just a fucking database entry. Your password is this, but not this time. So anyway, I won't read the whole article, but the whole article is brilliant. As I said, it's one of the best things I ever did in terms of just pure investigation. You'll never know, by the way. I remember writing this because I had to get in touch with like hackers that I knew, that knew Jason. Think I got in touch with one of his family members around about the time because he went to court. I had to leverage rioters that I knew. It was to even get this over the line and present the complete story from start to finish. You know, because obviously the people have been drip-fed Riot's bullshit. It's also another reason why very early on, I knew Riot were absolute liars. I knew they could never tell the truth. Because remember, in 2012, they'd said, we did have a breach, but we dealt with it. And it's like, well, why is all this happening? None of this. Phantom Lord, all those other guys, all the people who had their accounts stolen wouldn't have had their accounts stolen if Riot Games, in their infinite fucking hubris, had just chilled out for a second and done their due diligence. But they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it that they got. Couldn't handle it that, you know, some dickhead hadn't changed their password from the fucking throwaway one and that they got hacked. So instead they just lied to everyone And yeah, it goes on to have fucking bad repercussions, you know? Hilariously, though, some of those bad repercussions are for Mark Merrill, so... Anyway, stories like that of GOP gangster spawned a growing sense of unease among users, many of whom accused Riot of not taking the situation seriously. Imagine that. On August 13th, the poster who appeared to be a Riot staffer responded to one of these critiques. He dismissed the attacks as an elaborate troll. He said there'd been no breach, and he urged people to put down the pitchforks. Doesn't that sound like Riot Games, ladies and gentlemen? Stop, you've heard that one before. Nothing to see here, folks. Just get on with your lives. Another purported Riot staffers added that Jason had been the subject of an ongoing investigation. By the way, keep in mind, this is a company who literally kept binders of information. Every time I wrote an article, and I know this from talking to people who've been to the offices, they would print out a physical copy of the original article in case it ever got edited or deleted. They would put it in a folder called Richard Lewis, and they used to talk. They had dossiers on everyone who worked in esports so they could figure out who was Riot friendly and who wasn't. Isn't that mad? We have found her to have been brute forcing accounts at very high speeds. Now keep in mind, GOP gangster told you themselves that their password was completely random with all just nonsense in it. Brute force that? Don't think so, pal. But whatever. Brute forcing refers to systematically checking all possible keys or passwords until the correct one is found. There has not been any type of data leak nor breach. So they totally lied about it is the point. They lied about it in multiple times. Then, get this. In October 2013, so remember, this started in August. It's October. They still haven't found the back door. All this time, your data is being wrecked. In October 2013, Riot president Mark Merrill's Twitter account suddenly took on a very different tone. Ooh, my me. His Twitter account, well, how would he get that? Let's see. It began leaking information from Jason's earlier hacks, specifically about a project that Riot had stopped working on, called League of Legends Supremacy. That would have aged badly by 2016. The project was a card game similar to Blizzard's hit Hearthstone. Riot had registered a trademark for it a year previously. Well, I think this would be a good time to show off Riot's card game. Who wants to see pictures? 50 retweets for pictures. The tweet read, it was signed Jason God. Did I mention this game was fully completed but never released? Jason wrote after tweeting out an image of the game's loading screen. Riot doesn't want you to play this game. Take it up with them. He went on to leak an image gallery of card templates, which has since been mostly scrubbed from the internet, and threatened to release 200 megabytes of artwork into the public domain unless Merrill contacted him directly. Within an hour of that tweet, Jason relinquished control of the Twitter account back to Mark Merrill. The details of what was discussed between them has never been revealed. Merrill was left with the awkward task of explaining the game away as just an experiment that wasn't ever likely to see the light of day. Once again, Jason had given Riot a very public black eye. Anyway, it's a long article. It's got a wicked ending. Go read it. What's the point of reading the article? It's a fucking another data breach with Riot, like. And another one they're playing down. How can they be fucking held as being trustworthy at this point when what they're talking about, you know, when you've lied about it not once, not twice, 3 times, lied about it on Twitter, lied about the game that was released not being complete. Why's Jason got to lie? He's some psycho that hacked you. He's not gonna lie. And this time, as I said, it's a source code leak. It could have. It won't, but it could have unbelievable wide-reaching ramifications for what is, and let's not forget this. I know Riot Games like to pretend they're doing you a favour by making a video game that makes you want to fucking pull your hair out every time you fucking play it, right? They think that you're a customer. You're a customer. The game's free, but you are a customer. And so, listen, I'd be worried. I'd be more worried because, again, I keep all of the receipts on Riot. You're never getting off the hook with me. When I'm dead, my YouTube channel, it's literally got a playlist. Riot Games. And it's just me doing video after video after video on every single solitary thing they ever did wrong. In some cases, even just reading articles because I know they're going to get memory hold or the publication I published them is going to, it's going to go offline or whatever. There will always be a permanent record of all of Riot's fuck-ups. All you've got to do is just come to Richard Lewis hatesriot.com and it's there. They'll never get away. It's why I've driven these guys crazy. And remember, I'll be honest about it, I wasn't this much of a psycho with Riot Games, but they did the ultimate thing. One of their executives, who's not even at the company anymore, did the worst thing you can ever do to somebody like me. They said, Richard, you've written like lots of negative stories about us. You've been hypercritical of Travis. This is what sparked it off. You've said terrible things about Travis. I think this is when I called him out about the hot tub gift. You're not making any friends over on this side. And this was a Riot executive. And that was it. Right? We're not friends, are we? Let's see how being enemies plays out. And I know I have wound these fucking guys right up. Like, I know, like, every time there was a story or a scoop, I know when I'm the first, I'm even still doing it like last year, Peter Zhang. Imagine the absolute incredulity Riot Games must feel that what, me, the perennial outsider who don't make friends, I'm the one that's got to reveal that one of your top fucking orgs as a coach in it that is literally grifting money off the fucking players and putting it in his own pocket, and you have to basically put out a disciplinary ruling, which is my report, and you can't even bring yourself to mention me in it because you hate my fucking guts. Wasn't worth it, was it, back then in 2012 or 2013 or whatever the fuck it was? Wasn't worth it, was it? But, you know, hey, guess what as well? I'm still here. Half of you cunts are now working in Web3. Have fun with that. So, here's the other thing that people forget, right? So remember, this is why you've got to be wary with ye old data breaches and Riot Games. People probably don't remember this. It's a Reddit thread, 92% upvoted. Riot Games have repeatedly sent out the data of the account data of multiple players to the wrong people. Now, this is when GDPR was implemented, and GDPR, you know, all of the changes that sort of were coming around as a result of this new legislation that was like the off-ramp of sort of data protection. So in other words, now if a company who operates in Europe stores data on you, you are entitled to a copy of it, and they all have to make a process through which you can get that data. And non-compliance isn't an option, and if you don't handle people's data correctly or refuse to give them the data that they have on you, as Reddit has done to me, they are liable for fines. Okay, if you complain to the European courts. So what happened here was, right, this story's, I remember it at the time, it was fucking staggering. It's 4 years old, but it still really stood out for me as being insane. It was a League of Legends thread. Riot just sent me account data of someone else. If you've requested account data, immediately cancel it. I requested account data 30 days ago. By the way, the reasonable turnaround that was deemed, I believe, by the European courts, correct me if this is wrong, but this is how I remember it, and I wasn't expecting to go here tonight, so I don't have it to hand. But it was 30 days was a reasonable turnaround. A reasonable amount of time was to give them 30 days to get the data to you, and that's considered reasonable. I requested account data 30 days ago and realised 30 days had passed, and I was yet to hear a reply. So they're already over. They already couldn't meet the basic requirement that GDPR states you have to. So I requested a human, that it's been 30 days. He obviously, means I've reached out to a human, and I haven't received my account data. After a few hours, I get a reply from a rioter with a zip file. Upon opening it, it's someone with name ... can I disclose it? And obviously you don't know, you're doxing them. And not me. I just sent them an email that this isn't my account data, and I'm yet to hear a reply. Either way, this is a serious issue, because if I have someone else's account data, then who has mine? Then who was phone, right? They do a reply, and so you can see here, the nonchalant, right? Trying to downplay it, trying to avoid a lawsuit, is he? By the way, the guy that did it is called Zane the One, as you can see there. So, here there's Zane the One. This is from player support. Yes, unfortunately, we provided you with the incorrect account data due to a human error, aka Bronze 5 mechanical skills. We've just seriously violated data protection for one of our consumers, aka I'm Bronze 5. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see? Y'all forgot. Not rich. Bronze 5. Tell that to the courts. Of course, obviously, you know, fucking the gamers just love him so much. Oh, Riot, can I have a free skin? Can I have Lee Sin? Anyway, I do apologise for that sad face. Nevertheless, we have also checked the other data requests sent. Like, guarantee you that your data has not been sent to anyone else, as the mistake was only done within this ticket. Now, by the way, spoiler, in that thread, there are loads. I mean, not loads, but probably about 24. I'll be generous. 24 people saying the same thing happened to them. But, you know, it's Riot Games. Trust everything. It's all okay. It's only one-off. It'll never happen again. And yes, Tasty in the chat, I have caught the glimpse. I'm looking over the whiskey bottle to see you type. Yes, 24 GDPR violations, if it was indeed that, or there or thereabouts. I mean, you know, that's a lot. That's enough to get you a massive fine. If you look at some of the fines that have been given out for GDPR violations, well, you talk like 10 million. Like, you know, it's not, these are not small, this is not a small deal. Finally, our data has been deemed sacrosanct, and it had to be. There had to be some form of legislative pushback, because if you remember before, what prompted GDPR was cunts like fucking fake. I mean, they're still at it, but, you know, at least we got something now. But, you know, cunts like fucking Facebook, we'll just take all your data away and sold to China. Yep, no worries. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's our business model, you see. Secretly selling your data. Don't worry about it, see. There you go. Thank you, Jace. Live updates. Facebook were one of the worst offenders, as I just said. 405 million euros for them. The highest GDPR fine of 2022 was levied against Meta-owned social networking platform Instagram by the Irish Data Protection Commission. The 405 million euro sum is also the second highest fine under GDPR after Amazon. Oh my me, who would have thought it would be the big boys again? 746 million euro penalty in 2021. These are not small fines, because these are not small transgressions. I have now attached your account data to this request. Please keep in mind you will be able to download your data only from your email, as mentioned before. But if you have any question, feel free to answer to the ticket or the email directly. I'll be more than happy to help you. Then I don't even know what all this is. C, Sapover, DVola, whatever. And there you go. He gets his stuff. There was an official apology on the subreddit. Again, why Riot Games think a subreddit is an appropriate avenue for corporate communication, I don't know. It's almost as if they had control over it. It's almost as if those people that volunteer there were somehow beholden to Riot in some way, and therefore they could trust that their messages would be seen, not downvoted, you know, not edited, not fucked with. You know, it's incredible, really, but you know, well, what do I know? What do I know? Here we go, player support here. This is definitely unacceptable, and we're sorry this happened. Based on your experience, we've temporarily paused manual reviews of data requests while we investigate the situation further. Most of our data requests are automated, and we've confirmed this system is working properly, so these will continue to be processed as normal. But we are temporarily pausing those that are handled by an agent during our investigation. Your info is precious, we take it seriously, and we will get better. So what's mad here is, right, I'll tell you what happened. I'll just tell you straight up, man. This is exactly what went down. They were inundated. They weren't prepared. You are not prepared. That's the other game. They were not prepared for the fucking inundation of data requests, and they didn't have enough people. And so when the automated process got fucked over and they couldn't hack it, they started deferring it to human individuals to deal with. And guess what? That in itself could be arguably a breach of GDPR. I don't know enough about it, but the idea of some pleb that's typing bronze 5 mechanical skills, whoopsie doodle, the idea that he gets to see my fucking data terrifies me. But anyway, maybe that's an issue. Maybe it ain't. Maybe that's fine. But the bottom line is there was human error because they were making people do stuff because the automated process couldn't fucking handle the amount of requests. So that's totally on them. Then Edit wanted to update everyone on our investigation. Wow, an official... So this is Reddit, a third-party website, but you're coming here to update us on an official investigation into a GDPR breach. Kind of feels like the thing you might want to put in an actual fucking press release and not a Reddit post. But of course, we're trying to contain it, and don't worry, the Reddit mods are on hand to fucking delete any dissent. So this is all good, this is fine. I wanted to update everyone on our investigation, what happened and what we've done to prevent it from happening again. Normally, data requests like these are handled by an automated system. In this this case, it was handled manually. We're not going to tell you why, but it's what Richard said. And through human error, the wrong file was sent to the wrong player. Most importantly, we've gone through every other request that was answered manually and confirmed this was an incredibly rare incident. Not an isolated incident, you will notice. Rare, meaning it has happened multiple times, but just not to a high percentage. We've individually contacted the few, meaning more than one, players affected. We also reviewed the automated system that normally handles these requests. It is working as intended, and it will continue to respond to them. The mistake that was made in this process is a clear-cut one, and we're taking steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. We treat your data incredibly seriously, like the time we lied about it in 2012 and allowed it to be violated all the way through 2013. Not because of GDPR or any other law, but because it's the right thing to do. And we're Riot Games, and we're good people, and that's why a few years from now we won't be settling a lawsuit for $100 million for systemic sexism, sexual harassment, and sexual abuse. So, the rioter as well in that thread was replying to people. You can see, and look, you'll notice, remember how when I used to tweet out saying, look what this dickhead said, people were like, yeah, just vote brigade. It's like, no, I don't want you to upvote him or downvote him. I want to be able to talk in an environment Reddit doesn't control, to point out this is the type of abuse I have to put up with, as is my right, by the way, on the internet. Right? It was always my right. You'll notice Reddit never codified the rules. Can't call out Reddit on Twitter because it would have been absurd. You probably would have got sued because you're encouraging people not to tweet. They're a separate company. Who the fuck are you? But anyway, replying to people who've like since deleted their, oh, the rioters are here. This person pointed out huge fines. In the rioter goes, guys, actually, you'll find on this update that everything's fine and there's nothing to see here. But again, you can go through both of these threads. There were people complaining about it, saying it happened to me, it happened to me, it happened to me. This is a funny one. Some poor schmuck getting paid $8 an hour is going to get sacked. And the biggest of fines for breaching GDPR is a laughable amount to Riot, especially in Europe where they have the most money sitting in British Isles tax havens. At least this one guy's lawyer will get paid a retainer. You know, it's a fucking joke. So, people who think Riot Games, you know, whenever there's a data breach, oh, we can trust the process. It's all going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be good. Nah, if you know your history, you should be a little bit of squeaky bum time about that. So, watch this space. And as always, fuck Riot Games.